I was put on a medication regimen over a period of 3 months, which helped me to deal off with the cravings and to be able to bring down the tolerance of the opioids. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beyond Conditions. This is a channel that seeks to support those of us who journey with chronic conditions for them to realize a full life despite journeying and navigating healthcare with chronic conditions. And we're going through this Healing from Opioids Beyond Addiction docu-series, and I'm your host, Trish Barasa.
Hi Trish,
Hi,
how are
Marvin.
you?
Good. Yourself?
Are you good?
I'm good.
I'm better. I think I'll
Yeah.
be better as time goes by.
You can be better.
I can be better.
Yeah, sure.
I have room for improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this segment, we are going to tackle maintenance of recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the first question I think will be, how did you realize that you are in need of help from opioid addiction?
Marvin, the realization of the need for help for me was
Yes.
when I got to that point where my life was in danger. Because there was a time when I did actually black out and had no proper recollection of the time I had gone. I had like zapped out and the time I was waking up. I couldn't quite account for that period. And at that point, I realized how close I was, having now been exposed to the risks and knowing what risks I was now working with, realizing that this is a risk I'd come close to, respiratory distress maybe, and death.
So can you recall the instance where you snapped out, or you just found yourself on the floor or something like that?
I actually don't have a recollection of how it happened, but it was at night. It was one of those secretive times when I would go and take an injection and everyone else was asleep, including my husband.
So no one found you like on the floor. Were you alone during all that period?
Actually, I found myself, and maybe that's a miracle. I found myself, but I'm not able to account because it was done in the night. It was late in the night, and I'm not able to account for that time. So realizing how close I had come to a fatality, because I could easily not have woken out of that.
So which room were you specifically while you were taking these injections, or were you taking it from anywhere?
So long as it was a place where no one would find me. So when everyone was asleep, maybe I could be in the living room. But this particular time, I was in the bathroom.
So
Yeah.
in this case, how did your family come upon to help you through like maintaining your recovery and the struggle of opioid addiction?
So I kept the kids off, and we just tackled this as the adults. Yeah, with the adults, my parents, with my husband, and everyone else, and help came in, and my friends. Yeah, so we we got to that point where we all realized that I needed help, and I brought this to everyone, and I asked for their support and the environment for me to be able to go through.
So
So I was lucky to have the support of the family, my friends. Yeah.
So who possibly was the first person to find out that you were struggling with opioid addiction?
Actually, it was myself, but now I brought everyone else to the fold.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
from your family members.
From family, it was my husband, but yes, it was. Let me say, once I discovered this, I brought in my spouse. Yes, and let everyone realize that you know what, the snappings that I'm having, the mood swings, and now the point where I'm blacking out and I can't account for the time is really, it's a path that I know will not end down well for me, and so I need help.
So after undergoing treatment as it was, what positive aspects do you take as yourself for being the better person you are right now?
So I went through treatment, and I did mention that I saw both pain specialists and psychiatrists, and we extensively covered all these risks, and I was so alive to some of the dangers I had put myself to. And I, for me, I don't know. Marvin, maybe if you can just reframe that. But for me, it was really a point of realizing that I needed this help I was getting.
So, if you could take positive, positive impact that maybe the hospital you went or the advice you were getting from people, what positive aspect did you take from them to mold you into the better person that you are right now?
Okay, so assuming I've understood this well, and I also want to hear from you, our audience. First things first is I got myself to know. So I got educated to know the dangers I was facing when I finally sat down and expressed the need for help. I was actually taken through some education of sorts by my doctor. And then I also got to know what I can bring in to support myself. Like literally being told that you have this power within you. And then that this is a symptom of one of the problems of opioids. This is the other. And you can address this one this way and the other way. And getting to that point of knowing that I need the change. And I can change by incorporating this into my life, taking away this. And the doctors supported me. As I said earlier, I was put on a medication regimen over a period of 3 months, which helped me to deal off with the cravings and to be able to bring down the tolerance of the opioids, because I also had to take a low dose opioid and codeine-based treatment.
So, for instance, could you mention that the opioid that you are constantly using, and how did it affect you?
So I was on pethidine injections. I also had morphine and fentanyl. But for some reason, I have said before, fentanyl didn't catch on me. And it's the most deadliest. I didn't realize I was toying around with that. Luckily, my body didn't catch on to it. I just somehow was okay with the pethidine. And remember, I was taking care of pain. So the pain would be addressed. And one of the positive things I got out of not using the pethidine is, and in as much as I was in pain, the other medication I was given also addressed my pain. Not as fast as the pethidine, but address it anyway. And the doctor told me, you will have to live with a certain amount of pain. Yeah. So at first it was not easy because, when you have known no pain and you're being sent back to being in pain, it is not an easy thing. You almost want to go to that place where you are not having pain. And remember, it was also coming with a high. So you feel good inside you. You're not in pain. And suddenly, you have to deal with a little amount of pain. But I was taken through a clear process, and it was explained to me that you need to be weaned off this. Wow. And this is how we're going to do it. So I'm not a specialist, but I was taken through it. And with the desire within me, I was detoxed of the opioids.
So, personally, on a personal level, what has been the long-term effect of opioid use, opioid addiction within you?
So I first of all lost some very meaningful relationships because of opioids.
Yeah. Personally, who do you think you miss the most on the broken relationships that you have broken?
Let me just say some friends, some good friends.
I have a feeling you have one specific, but
I
yeah,
know.
well.
If they're listening, they know themselves. Yeah. I don't want to mention them on set, but
Maybe give
yes,
us a hint.
it's a close friend. They
Okay.
know themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but what's most important is I have really struggled with this pain management issue because that was the entry for me getting into the opioid use disorder. And that struggle with pain management and getting to a point where I had to look for alternatives.
What alternatives did you find on your search?
I got this with the doctors. My pain specialists put me on a low. Actually, it's funny. I was still put on a low opioid program, and agabapentinoid. They're anti-seizure medication. And what happens is they're used to address nerve pain. So because remember, I've also struggled with back pain problem for a long period of time. So I do get compressed nerves and very, very painful episodes from that. So other than that, on occasion, if I really have to take an opioid injection, then it has to be given by a medical practitioner in a very controlled environment and in a way where I know that I can't take that into my own hands.
So, as we speak currently, do you still have the relapses or the pain that comes right now?
I had one major relapse, I think about 3 months ago.
Uh-huh. How was
Yeah,
it? If you can recall the incident, and could you tell us a story of how it happened? Who were there to support you?
it was a festive season and everyone is in a very good mood.
Oh, Christmas.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And everyone is really in a very good mood and they're so jolly, and I am in pain. And I know very well that I'm not supposed to be anywhere near opioids, but I had a way to get access. So, and we keep saying that one of the way to really be able to manage and to sustain is to ensure that you have no access. So I had to whisper out there that I was in pain, and I got something to take care of the pain. So for me, sadly, I was able
Was
to.
that were you sneaking while
Yes, yeah,
wow.
yeah. For most of this to sustain it, you have to do it secretively.
Ah.
Yeah, because thing about the support systems is they also hold you accountable. So you can't have access to these things with them. Yeah, and that's a good thing because then even with the money, you really need to show where you have spent the money. Yeah. So, but I did manage and I did get access to them, and for a moment there, I was able to be happy with everyone, but I relapsed and I found myself sitting in the bathroom and again, just wishing I hadn't gone down that road. And yeah, but like we keep saying, a relapse is part of recovery. And it's a reminder to you that you're prone to this, and a reminder to you not to tempt fate because you have been down this road before. So you need to actually hold yourself up to the bar.
So could you remember like the time that you snapped out on the festive season?
Yes, so you're happy, and the next thing is someone is pushing you to the wall, and being under the control of opioids is you're not very stable. And when you get pushed, you push back, and you push back real hard. We have had conflicts before, but when you have conflicts and you're under the control and the influence of opioids, you really do not have any inhibitions and you can't get pushed too hard. And if you saw me and met me at that time, I really just pushed back so hard, had no space. Yeah.
Could you mind telling us the figures that you were spending on opioids, if you can remember, for instance?
Okay, I can't quite fully remember, but the prescription ones, they don't compare so highly, actually. I don't know about the streets. And if you're out there using opioids from the streets, I don't know. And maybe for me, because I was already I'm not maybe a young person, a student, and all that. I may not be able to compare so well in terms of spending because I would still have spent money on a painkiller for my back. So maybe not so well for someone like me because I was basically replacing that with an opioid that was giving me quick and fast pain relief.
So, giving a statement, so I know there are risks. So, what risks are there, given that there are different types of opioid medications? For instance, you're using pethidine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are morphine and different types of opioids. So, how did you realize I needed this kind of treatment for pethidine?
So I'm really hoping that I've understood your question, but in case I haven't, it's okay. You can just let me realize this. So there are different levels, I believe, and depending on what you're using. Morphine is, fentanyl is 100 times stronger than morphine. And heroin is 50 times stronger than morphine. So morphine is on the lower
The lower.
end of the,
So there are levels of
chain.
treatment on
Yes.
different types of opioids.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're deep into heroin, you will need a different kind of treatment. And
Different type of procedure.
yes, different
Yeah.
type of procedure. And for some who are really deep into it, you may actually need to be taken through an intensive care detox. So once you realize you require treatment and you're taken in for detox, depending on how deep it is, some of us will actually sometimes need to be taken in to an intensive care. And it's different from someone else who might need maybe an outpatient care. And someone else might just need maybe tapering off. Like for me, tapering off was good enough after I was weaned off the opioids. But for someone who's deep into it and is probably doing heroin or fentanyl, you may require a different kind of intervention. And that intervention may be more extensive and perhaps even more intensive. And then after that, now you'll be taken through a rehabilitation program. So I went through a rehabilitation program as well. And this is where you are now being taken through what coping skills you require. You're being educated. The family is also, and you're being taken through therapy, especially addressing what issue brought you or what triggered this opioid use in the first place. For me, it was pain, but pain and a different set of maybe factors. For you, it may have been that someone introduced you through a party and then you ended up in pain. And then maybe you are using someone else's medication. I don't know. But whichever the case, we all need different sorts of intervention, therapy, and the supportive environment to take us through recovery.
So, okay, the current you being a drug-free opioid user. So, how does your brain perceive you adapting to the new situation that you are? And how does your brain employ? How does your brain employs your current? What can I say? The current.
Like my current situation.
Yeah, the current situation.
So the brain was like held captive. And you're like in a jail of sorts because your brain, the opioid has locked into the receptors. So you're rewiring your brain through recovery. You're changing what it had been now accustomed to. And this has been said before to me, and I probably mentioned it here or not. Opioids are like, if going through exercises and releasing dopamine into your system is like a whisper of a good feeling, when you take an injection, especially, maybe not oral pills, but an injection, or even an IV, you shoot it into your system, it is like a loudspeaker of dopamine into your system. So you're now requiring the system to let go and adapt to something different.
So in that case, do you have the urge to go back to the old habits? Because I know it's a fight within you, your brain, your body, mental, physically. So do you have the urge to go back to using opioids as we end the show?
The urge is there.
Yeah.
The cravings are there.
Yeah.
It's a daily struggle. You are now on a path to recovery for life. Every day you must set goals for that day. Every day you must wake up as an opioid survivor and champion it for yourself and for others. And that is what it is for me. And I'm also using this platform for that purpose, that it is now a daily struggle. Like that person who has a heart problem, who has every other day got to live in a way to ensure that his body can survive whatever disease they are now dealing with. And that person who has diabetes, now you are somebody who's for life on a recovery for opioids. So every day you must wake up committed to another day to fight the opioid craving, to ensure that you're not subjecting yourself to the tolerant aspects of opioid, to ensure that you're not spending, to ensure that you're not seeking the euphoria and the high from opioids.
Personally, I think I'm very happy for you. If you are happy for yourself,
Thank you.
is.
Thank you, Marvin. It's a daily struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not immune to a relapse.
I'm
not
happy
immune.
for
Yeah.
I'm happy for your progress as we come to the end of the show.
Thank you. Yeah.
I've been your host, John Marvin.
And I'm your host, Trish Barasa, and I look forward to next week where we will be, it's a season finale.
Yeah, season finale.
We'll be having the season finale on this series on healing from opioids. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you again and to continuing this conversation.